great Torah personalities of yesteryear. We're usually talking about the great rabbis. Now today we're talking about personalities, you could argue, of all time. So Moses Montefiore, the first baronet, he was actually born, reported over, in English date 24th of October 1784, and passed away on the 28th of July in the year 1885. So he was nearly 101 years old at the time of his passing. He was a British financier, an activist, a great philanthropist, and a sheriff of London also. Is reported over. He was actually born to an Italian Sephardic Jewish family, which was actually based in London, and we're going to learn about the great success he achieved. He donated huge amounts of sums of money to promote industry, business, economic development, education, and health among the Jewish community in the many different great things. Also, he founded, for example, the Mishkanot Mishkanot Sha'ananim. This was in the year 1860, which is very, I believe that's just built outside the walls of the old city of Jerusalem, and was the first settlement reported over outside the old city of Jerusalem. He was a president, we're going to learn, of the Board of Deputies of British Jews, very prominent position. He corresponded with Charles Henry Churchill, the British consul in Damascus. In I think between the years 1841 to 1842, his contributions are seen as very great to the development of proto-Zionism. What was proto-Zionism? Our friends, concept in historiography describing Jewish thinkers active during the second half of the 19th century who were deeply affected by the idea of modern nationalism spreading in Europe at the time. Okay. Also, what's interesting is that Queen Victoria's chaplain, Norman MacLeod, said of Sir Moses, "No man living has done so much for his brethren in Palestine as Sir Moses Montefiore had." He stated in an interview in the 1860s that Palestine must belong to the Jews. It was reported over. Okay, so let's explore his family life. He was born in an area called Legon in Livorno in Italy, a place we've spoken about before. I think by Tuscany, this is. And in 1784, he was actually born in 1784 to a Sephardic Jewish family that was based in Great Britain, respectively. His grandfather was Moses Vital Chaim Montefiore, who emigrated from Livorno to London in the 1740s, which is also very interesting. He was born while his parents, Joseph Elias Montefiore, and his young wife Rachel, the daughter of Abraham Mokata, who was a very powerful bullion broker in London, in the town on a business journey at that point in time. He had an aunt called Selina Hannah Lawrence also, and which is very interesting, also who believed, I believe, in Bury Court St Mary Axe in London, and very interesting also. Okay, so let's look at his career. The family at one stage returned to Kensington, where Sir Moses would attend the school over there. His family's financial situation at the time, which wasn't the best, actually prevented Sir Moses from completing his schooling, and he went out to work to help to support the family, like many people did back in those days. It was reported over a wholesale tea merchant and grocer. He afterwards was hired by a counting house in the city of London. In 1803, he entered the LSE, the London Stock Exchange, but it wasn't so smooth at that stage in time. In 1812, he became a Freemason, joining the Moira Lodge, number 92 of the Premier Grand Lodge of England in London. Between the years 1810 to 1814, he was part of the Surrey Militia. In 1815, he again bought a broker's license and operated in different joint ventures with his brother, I think until the year 1816, when it was closed down. They closed down trading activities in 1820 respectively. He got, I think in 1812, he married Judith Cohen, who was the daughter of Levi Barrett Cohen. Her sister Henriette, reported over, was married to Nathan Mayer Rothschild. Very interesting enough. And it's actually interesting, Sir Moses' firm acted as stockbrokers, actually. Nathan Rothschild headed the family's banking business in Britain, and the two brothers-in-laws became business partners. And in business, Montefiore was a very great innovator. He invested in the supply of piped gas for street lighting, the founding consortium of the Alliance Assurance Company, and very, very interesting author also. And let's explore a bit more within regards to he visited the Holy Land, I believe, in the year 1827. It wasn't so easy back in those days to visit. He became a strictly observant Jew, I believe, at around that stage in time. He traveled with a personal shochet. Obviously, a shochet is a ritual slaughterer who, obviously, for kashrut reasons, will make sure that the meat will be kosher, and will, to ensure that he'll have a ready supply of kosher meat, because obviously he wants to keep kosher. He spent only a few days in Jerusalem. The 1827 visit changed his life. He resolved to increase his religious observance, I believe, after this, and to attend synagogue on Shabbat, as well as on Mondays and Thursdays, when naturally there's Kriyat Torah in the mornings, respectively. Every Monday they would read a portion, the Shabbat portion, weekly Torah portion, on those days, respectively, of what will be on the Shabbat itself. And it was reported over to be a spiritual transforming event, this trip to Jerusalem. In 1831, it was reported over he purchased a country estate with 24 acres on the east cliff of fashionable seaside town of Ramsgate, where I believe he lived for many, many years, and which had been, I believe, a country house of Queen Caroline. Very, very interesting enough also. He purchased adjoining land and commissioned his cousin, I think, who was an architect, David Mokata, to design a private synagogue over there, known as a Montefiore synagogue, which had a grand public opening ceremony in the year 1833, nearly 200 years ago. It was, I believe, as we said before, based in Ramsgate, Kent, obviously naturally in England and United Kingdom. Montefiore is mentioned in Charles Dickens' diaries, also in the personal papers of George Eliot, also, and in James Joyce's novels also, which is very, very interesting. It reported over in the year 1836, Montefiore became governor of the Christ Hospital, the Blue Coat School, after assisting in the case, I think, of what was the case? Yeah, so it was the case of a distressed man who had appealed to him to help his soon-to-be widowed wife and son. Montefiore was elected sheriff of the city of London in the year 1837. Remember, we mentioned that at the beginning of the class. He was knighted in November 1837 itself. So when did he retire? Obviously, throughout his life, and many people are benefiting from all the great work that he's doing, from so many things, charity funds, so many different important works that are still very much so much in his memory. But after he retired from business, Montefiore devoted the rest of his life to philanthropy. He was the president of the Board of Deputies of British Jews, very, very prominent position. I think this was for nearly a 40-year tenure between 1835 to 1974. It says 39 years. It was the longest tenure reported ever, and he was a member of the Bevis Mark Synagogue, the famous Spanish-Portuguese synagogue in London. He was, as president, he corresponded with the British consul in Damascus, who was named Charles Henry Churchill. I think this was between the years 1841 to 1842. And as we said before at the start of the class, he was a pivotal in the development of proto-Zionism also. From retirement until the day he passed away, he devoted himself into philanthropy, alleviating the distress of many, many Jewish people abroad. So he was very connected globally. He went to the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire in 1840 to liberate from prison 10 Syrian Jews of Damascus, at the time when they were imprisoned due to cruel blood libel in a case known as the Damascus Affair, which I've spoken about in a previous video before, which is also very important to point out. Also, many different missions he did over there, and he made him, many of these, we haven't mentioned all of these, made him a folk hero in many different parts of, and was a hero among many people in oppressed Jews of Eastern Europe, North Africa, and Levant, respectively. Also, also he received a baronetcy in the year 1846 in recognition of the great work he was doing for humanitarian causes on behalf of the Jewish people. Okay, let's explore a bit more. He and his wife traveled, I believe, to Palestine after the region was racked by an earthquake in 1836. So he had very close ties to Israel, as we learned about before. He visited Tiberias and Tzfat, which are two of the four holy cities, respectively, and they had set up ambitious relief program in 1837. In 1854, I believe he had a friend from America, Judah Turo, who was also a great Sephardic Jew. He passed away after having bequeathed money to fund Jewish residential settlement in Palestine. Sir Moses Montefiore was appointed executor of his will and used the funds for many different great projects to encourage the Jews in productive labor. One of the greatest acts of chesed one can do is to engage people into trade, to give them a job, to give them a parnasa, to actually feel that they did. He purchased an orchard also in the outskirts of Jaffa that offered agriculture training to Jews. So all his work, a lot of the chesed he did was oriented into giving people skills that they will be able to earn a parnasa also respectively. Let's look, in 1860 he built the first Jewish residential settlement outside the old walled city of Jerusalem, which we talked about before, which is popularly known as Mishkanot Sha'anim of modern day. It's actually very interesting. Also, he established adjacent neighborhoods south of Jaffa Road, also the Ohel Moshe neighborhood for Sephardic Jews, and the Maskeret Moshe for Ashkenazic Jews, respectively. So he was very close with both Ashkenazic and Sephardic Jews, respectively. I think Dr. Abraham Levy, Zechet Tzadik Lebracha, gave an excellent class summarizing great kindness of Sir Moses Montefiore. He donated large sums of money, reported over, to promote industry, education, and health among the Jewish community in Palestine, also, which is very interesting. The builders were brought over from England, reported over. These activities were part of a broader program to enable the old yeshuv to become self-supporting in anticipation of establishment of a Jewish form of homeland. Also, he built the famous Montefiore windmill in an area, and that later developed into the Yemin Moshe neighborhood, respectively, also, which is very interesting. Okay, let's look about later life and time of passing. He played an important role in the Ramgate affairs, and in 1845, as we said before, he was a high sheriff, this time of Kent. In 1873, on the year of his 89th birthday, it's actually interesting, a local newspaper, it's reported over, mistakenly ran an obituary at the time. But thank God to have been able to hear of the rumor. He wrote to the editor and to read an account of the same with my own eyes without using spectacles. So it was a rumor. He didn't pass away. He lived on to close to 101 years. They celebrated his 99th and 100th birthdays in great style, and every local charity benefited from his philanthropy, which is very interesting and reported over. Also, he established a Sephardic yeshiva, actually apparently in East Cliff Lodge, after the death of his wife in the year 1862, which is also, as we pointed out. Also, I believe the burial plot where his wife was buried, he modeled it, that tomb itself, similar to Rachel's tomb, which is outside of Bethlehem, respectively, also when she had passed away. She passed away in the year 1862. He passed away in 1885, as we said before. Unfortunately, he didn't have any children, but so many millions, you could say, many millions of people across the world have benefited from him in such a large way throughout Jewish history. Also, his principal heir in arms and property was his nephew, Sir Joseph Sebag Montefiore, who I believe passed away in the year 1903, was also a British banker, a stockbroker, and a politician also. Sir Joseph's descent, British historian Simon Sebag Montefiore, who was born in 1965, revealed that his family believes Sir Moses maybe had fathered a child late in life with, but that we're not too sure about. This is just a side note also. It's interesting also, the philanthropist Leonard Montefiore was a great nephew of Sir Moses Montefiore also. And Sir Moses Montefiore was buried in the Montefiore synagogue at Ramsgate, which is also has to be pointed out also. The estate was sold to the borough of Ramsgate in 1952. And he left such a great legacy. For example, the Montefiore Home for Chronic Invalids in Manhattan, and these are just something. Also, Montefiore Medical Center in the Bronx are both named after him. There's also Montefiore Square, which is a park in Manhattan's Hamilton Heights, also a neighborhood. There's the Montefiore Medical Center, I believe a branch of the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center in Pittsburgh bears his name. Also, there's Moses Montefiore Academy in his honor. Also, many synagogues were named in honor of Sir Moses, also including apparently the 1913 Montefiore Institute, now preserved as a little synagogue on the Praira, which is a small wooden synagogue originally built in Alberta, if I'm not mistaken. There's a Montefiore Club also, which is a social and business association. Also, there in Cleveland, I believe there's a nursing home called Montefiore. He was even commemorated on Israeli banknotes also, which is very, very interesting, which I think went around in circulation between the years 1970 to 1979. Also reports over the Dolphins Barn Jewish Cemetery in Dublin is Sir Moses also. What else can we say about him? Much can be said. We could do a second part with regards to him also. And there's just so much. It's for example, the Montefiore family papers were initially deposited in the Montefiore Museum in Judith Lady Montefiore College in Ramsgate. In 1961, the Montefiore Endowment deposited the papers on Montefiore family and the Mokata Library of UCL, this University College of London, and they span from 24 volumes to and 515 items. It's actually interesting. 515 is a very significant number in Judaism, because we learn in Parshat Vayetchanan, Moshe prayed 515 times into Eretz Yisrael, and this was the place, the land of Israel was him coming to the Holy Land, Sir Moses Montefiore, where he gave him that spiritual awakening, where Moses prayed 515 times to enter, which has to, and the gematria, numerical value of Vayetchanan is 515. Also, what's also interesting, he was renowned for his quick and sharp. Say he was absolutely incredible within regards to everything. Really, really great people's person, and there's so many different stories are told within regards to him. There's a coat of arms of Moses Montefiore also, very, very interesting. Maybe we should speak about that at a later stage also. But he passed away. Now he passed away in 28th of July 1885. I'm not sure what the Hebrew date was. He was 100 years old. So we'll just find out now the Hebrew date now, which that was in. So then at the time of the Yahrzeit, I believe that was 16th of Av. That was the 16th of Av, respectively. That was the actual Hebrew date itself. And I think we should maybe dedicate another video to him at another time, at another time specifically. So he was a great, great philanthropist, Moses Montefiore, and so many millions of people have benefited from him all throughout life, and may so many more also benefit. So wishing you all a great day, and I hope this was thought provocative, and take care. Thanks for all the great feedback, everyone. Take care.